Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So just recently, Kanye West was allegedly being hit by a lawsuit, if you will, by one of his former personal assistants. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to obtain the documents, the legal documents of the lawsuit, that is, pertaining to this particular case, like I was able to with the P. Combs and Crystal McKinney case, but these articles do explain for the most part what was detailed in said legal documents. Now, you all know, if you've been watching my videos as of recent, how I like to do with these things. And I quote, "Embattled rapper Ye, formerly Kanye West, whose Donda Academy was sued in April for workplace abuses, is facing a slew of disturbing new allegations. This time, the lawsuit comes from a woman claiming she was his personal assistant." And when they said a slew of disturbing new allegations, they didn't lie, because she is suing him for a slew of disturbing allegations. Now, some background on this alleged former assistant of his. She's a woman by the name of Lauren Pisciotta. I hope I said her name correctly. I know I didn't, so y'all are just going to have to forgive me and move on. Now, allegedly, this woman was an Instagram and OnlyFans model. Allegedly, she was working for Kanye West from July 2021 to October of 2022, so really just recently. And I quote, "She alleges she was subjected to multiple forms of sexual harassment and fleeced out of a promised $4 million salary for her work on various Yeezy brands, according to legal documents recorded by the Times." Now, those slew of alleged allegations, if you will, that she is accusing of, not just him, if I'm not mistaken, but also his business, if you will, includes, and I quote, "wrongful termination, gender discrimination, fraud, and intentional infliction of emotional and physical stress, among other misconduct." Now, of course, and I say of course because it doesn't surprise me, he allegedly filed a counterclaim against this woman saying that she is making, and I quote, "baseless allegations." And a legal representative, not even him, the legal representative, tried to accuse this woman of coercion, blackmail, and extortion. And what I have to say in response to that is, of course they would. It's funny that he didn't even directly accuse her of these things, but have people who work for him accuse her. I've said before, these lawsuits are all starting to sound the same. And before anybody says, now wait a minute, that's what you were saying about the P. Combs lawsuits. Birds of a feather flock together. Now, before anybody says, now what does Kanye West have to do with P. Combs? They both run amok in the same industries. They both run around in the same circles. Usually, individuals who run around in the same circles, who are at the top in these industries, are allegedly involved in the same things. What are you trying to say, Yoshi Entertainment? A picture is worth 1,000 words. Read between the lines of those words concerning these pictures. I'm going to just leave that there. Moving on with this article now. They did give some background concerning who this young woman was, her extensive resume, if you will. And this is good because it goes to show that she wasn't just some woman. Because, everybody's talking about how she's from OnlyFans and all this kind of stuff. They're trying to chalk this woman up to some whore, essentially. I hate to put it that way, but that's what they're trying to make her look like, who just got mad because she decided to go and screw around with this guy and didn't get what she wanted. So now she's mad and she's trying to file a lawsuit and use the Me Too movement to do what she's doing. That's not the case here. Like I said before, this woman has an extensive resume. She worked in the music industry for 15 years, allegedly, with experience in management and A&R marketing. So she has some very professional work type experience, like I said, under her belt. She didn't just hop up out of nowhere and decide to get involved with this guy. She actually was going to do a job. That was the whole point of all of this. One of the main things that happened was that he came across her. She had made some collaborations with him on some certain projects. He decided he wanted her to work for him as his personal assistant. He offered to give her $1 million to stop OnlyFans, which was her income at the time. And then he offered $1 million as an annual salary for her to work as his personal full-time assistant. And she agreed to do so. So again, this was a woman who was going to do a job. She did not want to screw him. She did not want to be involved in all this stupid perverted stuff that he had going on. She was about her job, about her bag, about her money, if you will. Now here's where it starts to get crazy, and by crazy I mean perverted and disgusting. The plaintiff's lawsuit, and I quote, accuses Ye of, and I don't even know if I can say that word on YouTube, in front of plaintiff and oversharing intimate sexual details, photos, and videos of sex acts, some of which allegedly involve Instagram models and current and former Yeezy LLC employees and various men and women. In November of 2022, a Rolling Stone report detailed similar allegations that the Grammy winner had played adult explicit material to Yeezy's staff in meetings. So 2 things concerning that, well 3 really, before we move on. So as I've said before, these celebrities, clearly they have gotten to a place, they've been put so far on a pedestal where they feel like they are above the law. They are above doing what is right. They are above respecting people, respecting their privacy and their consent. All kinds of labor and employment laws violated into oblivion. These celebrities be really thinking that because they are a celebrity, because they have a lot of money, they're famous, they have a lot of power and influence, that they do not have to act accordingly as an employee or an employer. I done said this before. When you are having this kind of relationship, again, she was his employee, his personal assistant. He was her employer. There is a certain relationship you maintain with somebody when you are working with them, when you are employed for them. They are employed for you. You are their boss. You do not send them explicit material. That's actually illegal, if I'm not mistaken, in Texas, to send people explicit pictures, if you will. People can feel how they want to about me saying this. I really don't care, but it should be illegal in all states. And maybe if it was, she wouldn't have been subjected to this. Now, that wouldn't have stopped him, of course, from breaking the law. Clearly, we see he did all this other stuff and didn't care that it was illegal to treat people like this, allegedly. But she would have had an even stronger case, but that's beside the point. Like I said, when you are somebody's employer, there are things that you don't do. You don't have a certain relationship with them. This is your employee. You go there, you do work. You don't send them leisure text messages, sexual and perverted text messages, because that's 1, how you end up in a lawsuit, and 2, it's just not right. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. The second thing that's disturbing about all of this is his lack of consideration for the individuals in those particular text messages, videos that he shared with this woman. Before anybody says, oh, it's not that big of a deal, how would you like it if you had some not so proud moments out there and somebody else showed them to someone without your permission or without your knowledge? Before anybody says, oh, we don't know if he got permission, do y'all really think Kanye West asked them people before he showed that woman those videos, those text messages? I don't believe he did. And I think it's goofy to suggest otherwise. All for what? To defend him in his craziness, in his disrespect, in him breaking the law and disrespecting people? Because at some point in time, we've got to draw a line and say that he chose to do these things, that he was blatantly wrong. He knew what he was doing. He knew it was wrong, and he did it anyways. And the third thing is, clearly this is a pattern that he likes to display. He likes to do these kinds of things, show people explicit material, especially in the workplace. Apparently, he has such a lack of self-control that he will even go so far as to indulge his perverted, lustful fantasies, even in public, even in the workplace, a professional setting where he should not be doing anything remotely like that. Anyways, the legal documents that I could not obtain, unfortunately, were 25 pages long, and they detailed information, and I quote, multiple alleged instances of non-consensual, offensive, unwanted, unsolicited, and unwelcome, unlawful acts by Ye, including explicit text exchanges where he discusses sexual fantasies and requests that the plaintiff obtain and carry sexual enhancement drugs for his convenience. In one alleged exchange, Ye messaged the plaintiff to ask whether his genitals were racist. Y'all heard me correctly. That was the end of the quote. I didn't pull that out of thin air. That's what he said, allegedly. Now, what you're seeing on the screen at this moment is allegedly a text message that he sent to the plaintiff while she was working for him. I'm not about to repeat anything in this entire quote, because it's just disgusting. If you want to, you can read it, and I'll have the video paused here for a moment. A moment of silence while I go pray that this man hasn't slipped into reprobate mind territory and that he can actually be saved. And when we point out that this man has problems, that he does things that sick in the head, he's choosing to do, he knows that it's wrong, and that he is low-key pretty racist, everybody wants to call the individuals pointing that out haters. I digress. Now, there was another set of text messages, allegedly, where he was talking about even worse, basically, how he wanted to participate in relations, if you will, this obsession that he has with men with large nether region sizes, if you get my drift, how he wants to and he takes pleasure in screwing some woman and then having her tell him how hard he did it and then go to some other guy, have her cheat on him. It's this weird perverted kink that he has, well, kinks plural, that he was basically discussing in these text messages to this woman. Stuff that he had no business saying to this woman. She didn't ask him for. He just sent to her because he wanted to have relations with her, but she did not want to have relations with him. Like I said, disgusting, perverted stuff. And again, with him sending text messages and videos of nude individuals, models, people who had allegedly formerly worked for him, sending her allegedly videos of women performing oral relations, if you will. There were allegedly text messages that he kept sending her talking about how he wanted a hug from her so badly, then sent her a message saying, oh, when I say hug, this is what I mean, and sent her a video, allegedly, of two people, you guessed it right, having relations. It also says in the article that, and I quote, the Instagram model also alleges Ye propositioned her for sex multiple times during her tenure. She denied his advances. Also, according to the legal documents, which, goes along with what's being alleged here. Now, there's a YouTube channel by the name of Chronicle Speaks who was able to obtain the documents, and she read directly from those. These are just excerpts taken from the legal documents put into an article. Allegedly, according to the actual legal documents concerning the lawsuit, this man allegedly, according to her, she's alleging. Y'all know I have to say alleging, allegedly, right? The plaintiff and Kanye West were at an outing one point in time while she was working for him. She excused herself to the ladies' room, and he followed her there to basically proposition her, if you will, which she denied him. There was another instance where they were somewhere, I can't exactly remember where it was, and he locked her in a room somewhere, knowing that the room would lock from the inside, basically locked them both in the room, trapped them in there, so that he could trap her where he wanted her, so that he could once again proposition her, allegedly. He laid on the bed, tried to get her to sit next to him, and then proceeded to pleasure himself, if you get my drift. Then fell asleep on the bed, and the woman had to text somebody who was outside of the room to unlock the door so she could get away from him and out of the room. Like, she could have filed a lawsuit for harassment, sexual harassment, because that's blatantly what this is. Low-key, whenever I was going through those details and I saw those details being gone over on different YouTube channels who were able to obtain the legal documents, it really made me disgusted. Because that's how a lot of people trap people to assault them, right? Like, he could have done anything to her in that room. Thank goodness that it didn't happen. Although anything could have happened while he was in that room locked in there with her. Another disgusting and perverted thing that he would do, that she alleged, is that he would pleasure himself, if you will, and I quote, during phone conversations she thought were business calls, and was particularly fixated on the you-know-what size of her current and past romantic partners. I question any man that is constantly putting this emphasis and has this fixation, as the article says, on some other man's private parts, what's going on between some other man's legs. I question that person, I really do. And again, this is reinforcing this odd obsession that he has with this. It's kind of like, the women who are always obsessed with big butts and big boobs. They always want to know, was your previous girlfriend a size this, a size that? Instead of focusing on what God gave them and not having their mind in the gutter. We talk a lot about the women and not being insecure and loving themselves and not worrying about what some other woman has because it doesn't take away from her as a woman. But some of these men need that same conversation and encouragement to stop worrying about what some other guy has in between his legs. Yes, I get it. It's an insecure point, like I said, just like the women in their body. But you've got to get to a place where you're grateful for what God gave you. You're secure in what God gave you. And if somebody doesn't like it, they can go kick rocks. Their opinion doesn't matter anyways. Be with people who appreciate you for what you have and don't always compare yourself to other people because that will kill your joy. And because it's simply unnecessary. You don't have to compare yourself to somebody else. You are you, and that's a good thing. Anyways, according to the lawsuit, the plaintiff, and I quote, did not welcome or encourage Ye's offensive, demeaning, embarrassing, and abuse behavior and was focused on carrying out her duties as a personal assistant in a manner as professional as possible. Again, she did not go there to screw around, to screw him, or do stupid and crazy perverted stuff. She went there to do her job as a personal assistant. She just didn't know that he was going to take advantage of that opportunity to try and screw her over. Another thing allegedly that he did was brag about how he had her as his personal assistant to other people, brag about how she was an OnlyFans model formerly, that she was an Instagram model, and lie and say that he basically had relations with her when she never had relations with him. Allegedly. The plaintiff also alleged in this particular lawsuit, according to this article, and I quote, that the employees of Ye's Yeezy brands listed as co-defendants engaged in a systematic, severe, and persuasive and offensive campaign of unlawful harassment based on the plaintiff's sex, including sexual harassment. Now, this next part is where the wrongful termination comes into play. So allegedly, over a year after working for him in September of 2022, she was promised a promotion, essentially, to be made the chief of staff and that he was going to increase her annual salary from $1 million to $4 million. But as to no surprise, Kanye West, and I quote, however, did not pay as promised after multiple attempts to collect, she alleges, end quote. Then in late October, he and his businesses fired her, and I quote, a reason was not disclosed in the lawsuit. Now, she was offered a $3 million severance, but no surprise, and I quote, then they allegedly reneged on their commitment to pay the severance. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it was after that moment when she officially went ahead and parted ways, and she also put in and alleged in these documents in the lawsuit that, and I quote, West's obsession with her persisted, and she alleged he moved into the building where she lived. These kind of situations are the reasons why I get really triggered and pissed off when people ask dumb and empathy-lacking questions such as, why didn't she just leave? Once again, allegedly, she did, and he followed. People make it seem like it's easy to get away from people who have these obsessive behaviors, who are lusting after people, who are stalking people, abusing people. It's not because they want the person to get away. It's because they want to abuse the person and have their lustful, perverted ways with them. Walking away, getting away, escaping, leaving is not as easy as some people have been trying to make it seem lately. But this just exposes, once again, how much empathy our community, our society lacks, especially for women who are being abused, and how they will coddle and make excuses for abusers. Sometime, according to the article, shortly after the termination, she did go back to him because she was trying to essentially still get paid for the work that she did. And I quote, returned to West and his businesses to provide additional services, again with the prospect of getting paid, but allegedly never received payment. Now, before anybody says, okay, well, why didn't she leave sooner? Why did she go back? What took her so long to finally walk away? All I'm asking that you do is approach the situation with some freaking empathy. If your boss went from maybe kind of normal, promising you promotions, saying things to the effect of, oh yeah, I'll help you out here, you'll do well if you just, do what I ask you to do, I'll make sure you move up the ladder, so to speak. And then they started doing stuff like this, and then you nude text messages, videos of people screwing them, all kind of other perverted stuff, talking to you, obsessing over you, knowing that the end goal here is for them to get you in bed, and you've made it clear that you didn't want that, you don't even like them like that, you're not even attracted to them, and they're still doing all this crazy mess. On top of the fact that this is your boss, and they've, again, violated all kinds of employment laws, morals of the workplace, with knowing, just like everybody else, you have mouths to feed and bills to pay. Would you just walk off of your job without another job lined up? So it's like, again, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You walk off your job right now because things went south and you couldn't take it anymore. Or you were going through something and you decided, I can't deal with this. Reasonably so. But just walk off your job right now. How do your bills get paid? Where do you find another job? There were people right on Twitter talking about and discussing how getting a job in today's economy and society is ridiculous. Putting in multiple applications a day, having these employers say, oh, well, we'll call you back, and they never call them back, calling them in for all kinds of interviews, wasting their time, not calling them back. Again, the cost of living is through the roof. This job thing is not secure. Nobody's job is really secure when you think about it. Anything can happen at any time. We're really operating and living on God's grace and mercy only. So again, walk off your job just randomly and see how well that goes for you. Newsflash, don't do that because it won't go well for you. The same thing goes for these people who work for these celebrities. They have bills to pay. They have jobs to work. She probably stuck in there despite going through all of that because, one, it was her job. That was her job, what she was doing to make money, to live. And two, remember, everybody kept saying, oh, well, he has mental health issues, using that as an excuse to justify his raggedy, perverted actions, what he chose to do. But now all of a sudden she should have left. There's always some excuse to excuse the person doing the wrong, like I said with these celebrities. Anyways, the woman just wants $4 million, at least, allegedly. There's been a lot of damages. She is alleging emotional damages that she suffered because she did not get paid. Imagine doing essentially a year's worth of work and not getting paid what you were promised. Like I told y'all before, this sounds like that P. Devil Combs lawsuit with Lil Rod, where he said he worked for an entire year and the man screwed him over. Essentially, let's just be honest, allegedly, because he didn't give P. Devil Combs what he wanted. He didn't give up the goods, if you will. He didn't want to get down with the get down, if you will. And he punished that man by putting him through what he put him through and not paying him. And the man only wanted $30,000 allegedly, a year's work that he put in. He could have requested more than that. But P. Devil Combs didn't want to pay him. Allegedly, people have been calling attention to this is a usual occurrence with these celebrities, hiring people and not wanting to pay them. I guess thinking that they're so high and mighty that these people are beneath them, that these people don't have to be paid, that they don't deserve to be paid for their services, which is wrong. Like I said, he's not the first celebrity to do something like that. He won't be the last. And specifically, this is not the first time that somebody has came out and made allegations against Kanye West concerning this kind of behavior, hiring people, and then the moment he doesn't get what he wants, he can't get the alleged sex that he's trying to get from the person or get them to meet some kind of unrealistic expectation. He gets angry, he throws them under the bus, he turns against them, he does not pay them, he fires them. Like I said before, this is a common pattern with these industry individuals. You don't give them what they want, despite how perverted and wrong it is, they punish you. And that's what it looks like he was doing here, allegedly. He got mad because this woman would not screw him or give him sex, and he punished her by not paying her and firing her and throwing her under the bus. It's, like I said, all lining up. It's all starting to sound the same. I told y'all before, birds of a feather, they all do the same things, which is why they don't need to be put on a pedestal. Again, it sounds a lot like the Lil Rod lawsuit, when he was alleging that P. Devil Combs was showing him explicit videos of two other men having relations. to him to try and make it seem like, oh, look, everybody else is doing it. So, read in between the lines. And again, when they're not down for the crazy, perverted mess that they got going on, they punish them. Now, of course, the legal teams of these celebrities always have to put out some kind of statement that usually they end up eating the words of later, allegedly. And I quote the statement from West's legal representative, also accused the plaintiff of stealing the rapper's phone to destroy phone records in order to benefit her claims, and said she was terminated for being unqualified, demanding unreasonable sums of money, including a $4 million annual salary, and numerous documented incidents of her lascivious, unhinged conduct. They also alleged and accused this woman of, and I quote, sending Ye unsolicited nude images as sexual coercion to demand material items, including a luxury bag and a Lamborghini. Basically, his legal representative is trying to say that she used sexual means and her proximity to him to basically get him to do things for her, give her material things, and get her way. And when she couldn't, lawsuit. Now, once again, the reason why her accusations have legs to stand on and then run and then grew wings to fly off with, and a lot of people believe her, is because, again, the multitude of people who have came out and said the same thing, that he follows this same pattern of how he treats people that work for him and work with him. And not just that, it's also his behavior that he has chosen to display all throughout the years. The fact that this woman, no coincidence there, looks exactly like his ex-wife and the wife that he has now. So it makes sense why he would want to bother her the way that he's been doing, allegedly. And on top of that, him having his own wife walk around in public, basically butt naked. People taking up for him, saying, oh, he can do whatever he wants to. Maybe she wants to do this. Leave him alone. Y'all are just haters. No, he can do whatever he wants to with his wife as long as they're both consenting to it in the privacy of their own homes, off social media. Whenever he puts it on social media for us all to see it and be plagued by it, that's where we have an issue. We don't want to see his wife's booty cheeks all over the gram, all over TikTok, all over Instagram, wherever it is. We don't want to see his wife's boobs and butt naked body all out in the streets. We didn't ask for that. That's his personal kink, embarrassing her out in public. It's classless, it's vulgar, it's inappropriate, it's unacceptable. He also made it very known, besides that, how inappropriate and perverted he is, the lack of self-control that he has, always talking about sexual things, disrespectfully lewd things in public, like it's nothing. The explicit website that he's starting up now. He's already shown y'all where his mind is. So for people to act like this is something that's not within his capabilities is laughable to me. And the last piece of evidence is how he and these other celebrities who get these lawsuits like to respond. It's the same stereotypical stuff. Frivolous lawsuit this, baseless accusations that. And then we all know what happens afterwards. And before anybody wants to go down in embarrassment and make themselves look real ridiculous and stupid defending him for any reason when it comes to these lawsuits, this is the same Kanye West
that being sued this. Because it's the only time where I can be myself, because I sit in those depositions and it'd be hilarious. I mean, I was in a deposition with Suge Knight and I had my hands on my face like this, right? And the lawyer was sitting, Suge sitting right there, and Suge's lawyer sitting next to me. He said, can you take your hands off your face? No, I said, take your hands off your face. I looked at him and said, he said, take your hands off your face. I said, look, sir, you're going to have to ask me nicely to take my hands off my face. Please talk to me with some type of respect. And he says, okay, Mr. West, can you please take your hands off your face? And I said, no.
Clearly, this is a man who lacks maturity, wisdom, consideration, and self-control, like I've been saying before, which is very dangerous, mind you. Especially with the kind of influence that he has and the amount of people, the alarming and concerning large amount of people who put their blind faith, trust, and support in him. Clearly, this is a man who thinks he is high and mighty, who has a pride issue, a megalomania, if you will, issue, who thinks he is untouchable, even though he got touched by them J's after he said what he said. He really thinks he can just go on and do the things that he's been doing allegedly without any consequences because of who he is. Once again, his power, his money, his fame, and his influence, and his supporters and his fans have also empowered him in that. But once again, you can only go so far doing your dirt before it catches up to you. Eventually, you will have to pay the consequences of your actions. You will reap what you sow. Anyways, y'all let me know how y'all think about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.